Hi everyone, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you guys didn't know, I'm a film student and I'm about to enter my third or junior year this upcoming Monday on August 22nd, which is just crazy. Time really does fly. And I thought that since I'm already halfway done through film school, actually I'm almost practically done with film in general because I'm a double major in college. So one of my majors is advertising, like graphic design and all sorts of stuff, but I'm also a film major, but I've actually taken a lot more film classes than I have advertising, so I'm almost done with film after this upcoming semester. But point is, I've taken a lot of classes, I've seen a lot of movies, and today I wanted to make a video talking about the best movies that I've seen in film schools and the ones that I really recommend. And today I'm going to be talking about the ones that I had not seen previously. I do want to make a video at some point ranking all of the movies that I've seen in film school, but just to give you guys a rundown of kind of how my film school works and my major works, basically I'm in a general track, meaning I can take all sorts of classes like production classes, where those are the ones that I've taken, you know, the experience of making short films and learning the practical side of things. I've also taken a lot of critical analysis and more film history classes, so that's mostly where I watch a lot of my movies, although I've seen a couple of movies in my production classes as well. But a lot of just watching movies and sitting down and talking about them with my classmates, which is pretty fun. And in those classes, my homework is literally watch a movie and then be prepared to talk about it the next day. And then the other sorts of classes that I've taken are screenwriting classes, and those have been some of my favorites and the ones that I've learned a lot, because although I've learned a lot in my production and my theoretical film history classes, screenwriting is something that I knew very little about entering film school, and it's really cool to learn all the ins and outs of writing a script. And you know, now it's one of my favorite things to do, and I know that a lot of you guys watching are aspiring filmmakers and writers yourself, so I'm very happy to be partnering in today's video with Arc Studio. The great thing about Arc Studio is that they really understand how screenwriters think, and they've made a platform that is very easy to use. They've created this software that doesn't distract with an overloaded interface. You can say goodbye to archaic, outdated screenwriting softwares and hello to advanced story-building features, industry standard automatic formatting, and stress-free collaboration tools that are as easy to use as Google Docs. And as a film student, working on a crew, working with a lot of people, that collaboration part is one of my favorites because it's so easy to just share the document with someone and have them start working on it. I love that feature very much. And a little fun fact about Arc Studio, it's already being used by beginners and professionals, which is really awesome, such as the team who worked on writing the Netflix show Arcane. Join the thousands of screenwriters who have already made the leap. Whether you're just starting out or as a professional, writing screenplays has never been easier. Arc Studio offers a completely free plan, but you can also get $30 off the pro plan by using the link in my description or the link right here. Thank you Arc Studio for sponsoring this video, and again, if you want $30 off their pro plan, then please use the link in my description. And now let's get back to talking about the best movies that I've seen in film school. So the first movie that I'm going to be talking about is, I think, the oldest movie on this list, and it's one of the older movies that I was very surprised that I ended up really loving, and that is Fritz Lang's M. And this movie was released in 1931, and it's a German movie that's essentially about a serial killer who is harming children. And that topic alone is really just whack, and I feel like I've mentioned this before on my channel, but whenever there's a crime thriller movie and it has to do with children, I feel like it ups the stakes even more, and at least for me makes it a much more anxiety driven watch. But what I remember distinctly about this movie and talking about in class is the groundbreaking lighting techniques and the off-screen sound to maximize a sense of horror. And this is one of the earlier movies, I think, that I've seen in the horror or thriller category that actually really got me, in the sense that, like, I felt fear for these characters, and there are certain gimmicks and things that they do in horror movies today that it was really cool that they were doing it all the way back then. And the one that's most notable here is like the sound motif whenever the killer is around, and it made the scenes that much more exciting and that much more thrilling to see, because you're like, oh my god, this sound is playing, something is gonna happen. But the thing that really stood out to me from this movie specifically is how it's not your typical crime thriller movie, because this movie really explores a lot of things about morality. And one thing that I didn't expect is how the police was portrayed in this movie, because one would expect the police officers to be leading the investigation and looking for the killer, but what the movie does that's pretty interesting is that the city's criminals are the ones who are teaming up to find the killer. So it kind of flips things into perspective. It really parallels both groups, the police and the criminals, and how similar their goals could be in one moment, because even the criminals themselves agree that the murderer killer, and this serial killer is insane. And I just think that entire aspect of the movie is really, really interesting, and me speaking about it honestly doesn't do it enough justice. So yeah, watch M if you guys haven't seen it, because I highly, highly recommend it. The next movie we're going to talk about is a Swedish movie, and this movie, the power that this movie holds, I think, is incredible, and it is Wild Strawberries, which was released in 1957 and directed by Ingmar Bergman. Through flashbacks and fantasies, dreams and nightmares, Wild Strawberries dramatizes one man's remarkable voyage of self-discovery. The cool thing about this movie is that the whole time our protagonist is this older man, and the movie is able to make it relatable to me, a 20-year-old woman. Who would have thought? I watched this and, you know, at first the premise seemed interesting. I love me a good, like, mind-mending movie, and this one certainly is one with the use of flashbacks and, like, dream sequences. There's a lot of dream sequences in this movie that just, wow, they're, first of all, really well executed for the time, but also just really, really effective. And the performances, by the way, are incredible in this movie. But I think that's my favorite part about this movie specifically, is how it's literally relatable to me, because a lot of the themes of self-discovery is really interesting when you're seeing it at somebody at the end of their life, like the character is in this movie. On the surface of this movie, Bergman was trying to capture the subconscious of the protagonist, but deep down, this film, Wild Strawberries, deals with regret, aging, death, and guilt. So a lot of heavy topics in one movie, and the way it's able to just flow throughout, aimlessly just tell the story of this man, while also dealing with all of these things, is really, really cool, because the movie is really subtle, because it's not in your face, like, telling you how to really feel. I think it's just really well written into the story itself, and by having this character be at the stage of his life that is near ending, it makes it more emotional, knowing the clock is running out of time. And if you've seen the movie, the clock, there's a lot of symbolism there, but I really, really love this movie. I think it's incredible. The next one I'm going to talk about is a Charlie Chaplin movie, and it is Modern Times. I think this is one of his most famous movies. At least it's one of the ones that I always knew a lot about. Like, there's a lot of scenes in this movie that I had previously seen without seeing this movie, and I did not expect to love this movie as much as I did. And what I just really love about it is how it just critiques everything. There's so much critique of industrialization and the overworking society that we live in, and it's just insane to me how a movie from the 30s could speak volumes about today. So the next movie that I'm going to talk about, I think, is the least serious out of all of these movies. It's the one that requires the least brain cells, if you know what I mean. You can just watch this movie and not have to think, and it's still a really great movie, because for all of these other movies, I think you have to certainly be in the right mindset. But this one's really great, and it's It Happened One Night. And it's basically like a romantic comedy, I would say. I think if you like enemies to lovers, people that hate each other at the beginning and then fall in love, dude, this is for you. And the two lead actors are really great. It's Clark Gable, which I know him mainly from Gone with the Wind, and Claudette Colbert, and both of them had really great chemistry throughout. Like, from the moment the movie started, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna continue watching this just because of the chemistry alone. But I remember when we watched this movie, a lot of the things that we talked about was the use of dramatic irony in this movie, and it makes it a really cool and engaging movie throughout, especially the third act though, because it's one of those cases where the woman, you know, is thinking something about the other person, so then she does something, and then the guy's thinking something about her, and then they like clash, and it's just like, it's really, really cool. But the whole time you know both of their perspectives, so you're kind of sitting there like, no, don't think this, no, think that, and it's just really, really fun. It has a really great ending, and the whole time I just love the banter between the two of them. Like, this movie is just a total blast. If you really want to watch something and not have to think, again, I think this movie is a really great one to watch. And the last movie I'm going to talk about is the most modern out of all of these movies, and it's a 1999 movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley. And this movie has a really great cast. It's Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Matt Damon. Like, the cast is really, really great. I think it was so good. It's like one of those movies where, like, there's not a definite right or wrong, even though what's happening on screen and what certain characters are doing is morally wrong. Like, you know that shouldn't be happening. Like, there's no way that should be a thing. But, like, the way the movie is written, the way the characters are also written is really interesting because it's like that gray area throughout the entire movie, and I think those types of movies make like the best dramas in my opinion. They make it so much more fun because you're like trying to figure out whose side you're on, and then you kind of end up maybe being on the side of the person you're not supposed to be, and there's just like a whole lot of layers in this movie. The acting is really great in my opinion, and I just think like this movie is really underrated because I hadn't really heard nothing about this movie. If you're expecting this to be like a quick movie, it's really not. It's a slow burn, but I think it's very worth it. And if you don't like slow burns, I still think you should give this one a watch because I think by the end of it, you're gonna come out knowing that you watched a really well-written movie. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of topic, talking about the best movies that I've seen in film school. Like I said, I have a lot of movies that I still think are really great, but in this video I focused on the ones that I really like the most that I hadn't previously seen before coming into film school. But if you guys want me to do a full-on ranking on all of the ones that I've seen, or at least my top 10 in general, then please let me know because I'd be more than happy to do that. And I also could make a video on the worst movies I've seen, although there might be a lot of hot takes in that video. But thank you all so much for watching and all of your support. If you have seen any of these movies, please let me know down below. Let's talk about them. And if you do go to film school, let me know what your favorite movie that you've seen is. And just before I end this video, I want to thank Arc Studio for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys are interested in that pro subscription plan, then please check out the link in my description because you guys will get $30 off. But yeah, thank you all once again. And that's it for me today, everybody. I hope to catch you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.